Today we are making tri-tip steak with roasted sweet potatoes. Before we even start cooking, we are coating the steak with pink Himalayan salt. We put a layer on the top and then we flip it over and put it on the other side. We are going to leave this on the counter for an hour per inch of steak thickness, and then we will rinse it off and put it on our pan and season it ready to bake. The reason we are putting the salt on is it seals the steak so that when it goes into the oven it doesn't shrivel and it keeps the juices in. Before we could continue, we needed to add 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning and 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a bag so that we could put our vegetables in it. But before we can put our vegetables in it, we are going to grate some fresh garlic. We have our grater here, and our garlic cloves have all been peeled. The tops and bottoms are removed. You can decide how big you want to grate it, either small or large.
There goes.
Instead of adding salt and pepper, I'm going to use our Buck's low salt seasoning and add a little bit in here. Now I'm going to add my garlic. I want to get all that goodness in there. Shake my bag a little bit. Now I'm going to add my vegetables. Our vegetables consist of fresh sweet potatoes that we grew ourselves, and I have cut them into wedges after peeling them. You can also leave the peels on if you want. We have green pepper, some onion wedges, and we're going to put these in here and shake them up to coat them, and then we're going to put whatever's left over on top of our steak before we put it in the oven. Now our steak has been marinating with the salt for over an hour, which is fine. You can marinate it longer than shorter. And then we rinsed off the extra salt so that it wouldn't be too salty when we cook it. We have tried this method with a T-bone steak, any kind of steak that we want to cook on the barbecue. We also use it when we make prime rib. And we don't have prime rib that often. It's usually like special occasion like New Year's or something like that. Now that our vegetables are seasoned, we're going to set them aside because we need to put the meat in the oven first. And we're going to add the vegetables after it's been in the oven for a little while. Now that we've rinsed our meat off, we're going to put it in the bag with the remainder of the oil that we used on the vegetables. Seal our bag. Try to get some of it on there so it is coated. Not only will it flavor our meat, but it will also make use of it instead of throwing it away. We also have olive oil in our pan that we're going to put our beef in. Try to put it in the center so that you can put the vegetables around it in a few minutes after we put it in the oven. We are going to be putting our beef in the oven at 450 degrees, and we're going to check it after 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, if it looks like it's cooked enough, then we're going to add the vegetables. Now that we've had the meat in for 10 minutes at 450 degrees, we are adding our vegetables around the edges in a single layer if possible, and we're going to return it to the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes before we add our raw tomatoes. Okay, we've had our roast in the oven for another 15 minutes, and we're going to add some raw tomatoes for color and for flavor. And then we're going to return it back to the oven for another 10 minutes at 450 degrees on the middle shelf. The other thing we're going to do after we cook it is we are going to put tin foil over the top for 10 minutes because the meat will cook for another 10 minutes and increase the temperature so that it's the right doneness. Now that our meat is done, we are going to add a little bit of grated cheese to the vegetables before we apply our tin foil. This just adds a little more kick to our dinner. And this is another fine example of low glycemic load, low glycemic index eating. It can be tasty as well as healthy. Now we're going to put our tin foil on for 10 minutes. And after it is done, we will be cutting into our steak. For a rare steak, you're going to cook 30 to 35 minutes. For medium rare. For medium well, you're going to cook 40 to 45 minutes total. You can shut off your oven now and leave the meat on top of the counter while you're waiting your 10 minutes. In the meantime, we are going to heat up some green beans to go along with our dinner. All right, our time is up and it's ready to unveil the product. I don't know about you, but my mouth is watering. So we're going to scoop out a few of the veggies first. Give ourselves some room to cut the meat. Doesn't that look yummy? It's got just a little bit of pink and it's almost done. We hope you enjoyed this video. I will be putting the ingredients at the end, and comment if you want any more information.